getting back to growth hormone, I don't know that we put a button on this conversation with regards to peptides. There's GHRP6 and Somorelin and these different peptides that can be helpful. So if we want to be science-based about this, we would test our before 9 a.m. our IGF-1. If that is low, do the lifestyle things and everything like that. But if we can't bring up our growth hormone, where do you weave in peptides into that conversation?
So let's even back up a little bit and talk about IGF-1 levels. So you could have even good IGF-1 levels, but the amount of receptors that you have to bind IGF-1 could be suboptimal. And this is where growth hormone releasing peptides or growth hormone releasing hormones come into play, because they will actually upregulate the amount of receptors that the cell has to receive the growth hormone. So we're essentially working on improving cell efficiency in that way. And a lot of the, like ipamorelin, for example, let's use that peptide. It'll actually stimulate IGF-1 release from the liver as well. So we can have growth hormone release effectively from multiple places. So yes, we can increase the levels, but we can also increase the likelihood, that it'll get to the cells and make the cell do what it's supposed to do.
Interesting. Now, do you pair these together, or is it all contextual? I mean, what do you personally do in terms of these peptides?
Yeah. So there's what I do personally, and there's also what I prescribe. So I try to get my patients to stimulate their own growth hormone production first. Yeah. So for example, we'll work on fasting. Intermittent fasting is huge for growth hormone production. So there's no reason to bring on peptides if you haven't addressed nutrition, if you're not lifting weights, if you haven't addressed the hormones. There's just no reason to jump 10 steps and go straight to peptides. So we'll work on that first. And then if they're still not able to, let's say, get deep sleep or build muscle or burn fat, or they're still losing hair and they're not seeing the improvements in their skin, for example, then I'll introduce potentially, now ipamorelin, it's on the FDA sort of category 2 list. So, but let's take sermorelin, for example, and tesamorelin. Those are grandfathered in, so they're safe and we can use those. Then I'll prescribe sermorelin, and preferably in injectable form. That's always most effective, but there's also troches, and then there's nasal sprays nowadays for those who are kind of scared of the needles before bed. I personally, I used to love the CJC family and the ipamorelin pair together, because we want the growth hormone releasing hormone and the peptide working synergistically. But, even right now, since we can't do that, given the FDA ruling, I do like to use sermorelin, and we can still get really good results.
And how quick I've never taken peptides. I'm curious about it. I'm 41. I noticed recovery is not quite as good. It takes a few more days for me. Sometimes if I lift heavy, I'm like, why am I still kind of sore? So I'm just curious about this. Is it like 3 months time, 90 days? Like
8 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.